Hey there, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a deeply personal, incredibly relatable story today, one that comes straight from a 23-year-old guy navigating the absolute roller coaster of modern love. We're going to map out his entire journey, the dizzying highs of a new digital romance, the crushing weight of a sudden betrayal, and eventually, that hard-earned maturity that only seems to come after a massive heartbreak. Whether you've been through something just like this yourself, or you're just curious about the psychological toll of digital deceit, there is a ton of value to unpack here today. So, let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to look at this quote. Getting isn't only love, losing is also love. Hold on to that thought as we go through today's analysis, because it really sets the emotional stakes for everything we're about to explore. It totally reframes how we look at relationships. You know, heartbreak and loss, they aren't just the absence of love. They're actually a fundamental, albeit super painful, part of the whole process of loving and growing up. It tells us right away that this isn't just some story about getting dumped. It's about what we actually learn when we're left empty-handed. Section 1. A Beautiful Beginning. How the Digital Romance Blossomed.
Like every good heartbreak story, this one starts with a spark of hope. The romance progressed incredibly fast, kicking off, as so many do these days, with just a simple hi on Facebook. By week 2, that one little greeting had blown up into hours and hours of nonstop chatting. You know that exact feeling, right? When you're just glued to your screen feeling like, wow, I finally found someone who totally gets me. And by month 3, the digital connection leaped into the real world. The source talks about them holding hands at the Garden of Dreams in Katumadoo. And man, in that moment, holding her hand, our 23-year-old protagonist completely believed this bond was unbreakable. He felt entirely seen and understood.
But then things shift. Section 2. Changed behavior and neglect. The beginning of the end.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact moment the dynamic flipped. Think about it. What used to be these long, heartfelt messages met with instant, enthusiastic replies just stopped. The protagonist was still deeply emotionally invested, but instead of getting that same energy back, his huge messages were met with these tiny, trivializing one-word answers. Or okay, or even worse, left on scene for literally hours. The source text describes him practically going crazy here, calling, messaging, getting zero response, and honestly wondering if he was spiraling straight into depression. It's just a textbook scenario of emotional withdrawal. One person is desperately trying to hold the connection together, while the other is just effortlessly pulling away.
Section 3. Betrayal and Broken Heart. The Devastating Truth Revealed. Turns out that confusion and anxiety? Absolutely not just paranoia. When the truth finally came out, the source describes the feeling as being hit squarely by a massive boulder. And the betrayal wasn't just a simple loss of interest. It was so much deeper. First, our protagonist found out his partner was secretly giving her time and attention to other people. But wait, it actually gets worse. She was actively taking screenshots of his private, deeply emotional messages and forwarding them to outsiders, literally making a cruel mockery of his genuine vulnerability. Look, it's one thing to fall out of love, right? It is an entirely different, incredibly toxic thing to weaponize someone's sincere emotional investment just for the entertainment of others.
And when he confronted her with all this overwhelming evidence, this is the response he got. I never gave you any hope, you went crazy yourself. I mean, wow, read that again. It is a wildly remorseless textbook gaslighting statement. Instead of getting any kind of apology or closure, the blame is just completely shoved right back onto him as the victim. It perfectly captures that sheer agony of unrequited loyalty. Imagine being told that your totally valid feelings and all those memories of chatting for hours and holding hands were just some crazy invention in your own head. This, right here, this is emotional rock bottom.
Section 4. Tears, Regret, and Pain. The Aftermath of Deceit.
The source describes this specific period with this incredibly poetic yet totally crushing melancholy, drowning in an ocean of alcohol and tears. Because when your reality gets flipped upside down that suddenly, the despair can feel completely inescapable, especially at 23 years old. Experiencing that level of betrayal is so deeply personal and just incredibly disorienting. It literally shatters the lens you use to view the whole world. And as the source wisely points out, only people who have truly loved and then been hit with absolute betrayal in return can fully grasp the sheer weight of this kind of pain. It's a really isolating, agonizing chapter of the human experience.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the profound sense of guilt that tags along with all that grief. Think about it. The protagonist poured absolutely all his time, all his energy, and resources into doing literally everything for this toxic one-sided love.
Yet the crushing realization eventually hits him that he hadn't bought a single chocolate for his own supportive parents. It's just a huge misalignment of priorities. And honestly, it happens so easily. In the blinding light of a thrilling digital romance, it is so easy to accidentally neglect the very people who have given you unconditional love your entire life. This heartbreak was a brutal wake-up call to that harsh reality.
Which brings us to Section 5, Maturity and the Path Forward, Finding Strength in the Pain.
Let's look at why this matters and how it actually builds our understanding of resilience. Here are the core psychological takeaways we can distill from the source. First up, a really hard truth. Some people literally just use love to pass the time. Accepting that is absolutely crucial. Next, going through this kind of profound heartbreak at 23, or really at any age, is not the end of the world. It actually acts as a massive catalyst for maturity. It burns all that naivety right away. And finally, it realigns your compass. Your true focus, that belongs on your mental stability, your future goals, and your family. The pain is basically a necessary, even if it's brutal, step toward building real emotional resilience.
So the crucial point is exactly how you action this moving forward. The source leaves us with some highly actionable advice for setting boundaries and actually finding closure, which is so tough in this confusing digital dating age. Step 1, if you feel like you're being ignored, communicate clearly. Ask the hard questions directly. Step 2, if the answer, or let's be real, the lack of an answer, shows they just don't want you, you have to recognize and radically accept that reality. Don't fight it. And Step 3, walk away peacefully. Reclaim all that energy and redirect it entirely toward your own future.
Which brings us to our final and definitely most important thought for today's explainer. Did your past heartbreaks break you, or did they make you more mature? Every single shattered dream carries the weight of a choice. You can either stay drowning in that ocean of tears, or you can use that heavy boulder of betrayal as the absolute foundation to build a much stronger, much wiser version of yourself. I really want you to reflect on your own growth with that in mind. Thank you so much for joining me as we unpack this incredibly moving narrative today. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.